Ty, welcome to the cave. Thank you for joining me today.
Oh my God, thank you for having me. Excited to be
Man,
here.
you're more excited. You got the new season of Manifest coming out. Cal Stone, November 4th. How do you
Yep, it's
describe?
all
How do you
happening.
all happening, man? I've seen the promos everywhere. I've seen you all over the internet.
Yeah, it is. I'm excited to I actually have abstained. I kind of am waiting until the show drops itself to actually check out this whole part. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited to see it myself. I mean, those trailers are looking pretty good. However they cut those together, I'm digging it.
Yeah. So we're gonna jump a little bit more into the show in a few minutes, but I want to know a
Yeah.
little bit more about you. I was doing some research on you. Grew up in Houston, Texas, college in Chicago, but now you're all over the place. New York, LA. What's going on
Yep.
with you, man? You can't pick a spot to stay, huh?
I know. Fickle. It's really I just can't make a decision. It's the thing. I never have. I can't even decide what to eat based meal to meal. That's a real difficult thing for me. So I'm in New York right now. We just wrapped a couple weeks ago on Manifest. I've just been out here, working on the show. But I'm based out in LA. Yes, grew up in Houston. LA is actually where I was born. We moved when I was really young, like when I was 6. We moved out to Houston, and that's where I really grew up. And then I went to school at Northwestern up by Chicago. So that's interesting that you say Chicago. I say Chicago too, but anyone from Chicago, it would scoff at the fact that I would say I went to school in Chicago since I went to school in Evanston. It's like 45 minutes on the train outside of the city, like just like part of the north suburbs, basically.
Mm. So what through all this journey and everything, like what made you get into the acting world now? Was there something you were watching on TV or like did you have family that was into it and you're like kind of wanted to get into it?
Yeah, so my dad actually is an actor, teacher, director, does mostly the latter two these days. But I was in my first play when I was 8. He was
Mm.
directing a production of A Midsummer Night's Dream at the high school of where I was going to like first grade at the time. And I just fell in love with it and then started doing working in the theater all around Houston. It has an incredible art scene because
Yeah.
of all the oil and gas money there, and land's so cheap, and there's lots of great artists. It's a really excellent place to like work and meet people and come up and figure out the craft. And then started doing on camera stuff when I was like 18 because there was a show that shot out in Austin, a show called American Crime that was on ABC, which was great, which was a blast and like such a wild thing as like my first time to get to work with such amazing people. And then that it all started there.
Mm. Now, what do you enjoy more, theater or TV and film?
I mean, they're very different. I think they obviously have a reputation for being pretty different, but the
Mm.
actually working in them requires like a very different thing. If I had my druthers, I'd get to switch back and forth between both
Yeah.
because it tests a different muscle, like you gotta get some variety in there. In the same way, I can't stay in the same place too long. I can't stay in
Right.
the same job or medium or whatever
Yeah.
for too long.
That's so acting is storytelling. Is there somebody that you look up to that you enjoy, you like watching his or hers craft to try to make yourself better?
Mm, uh-huh. Who I love is Lakeith Stanfield. I think he is fantastic in Atlanta, and Sorry to Bother You is like what made me understand what satire was, like because it's so undefinable. But like when you see it, you know it. And I just think he has this way of being of like just listening and reacting in such a human way, and he's very honest. I'm taken with him every time I watch him, and I still haven't pieced together what exactly he's doing, or else I would have stolen it by now. You know what I'm saying? So there's maybe someday I'll figure it out.
There you
I
go.
can steal his little special spark.
What's Thai binging these days? What do you enjoy watching?
What have I been watching? I was watching Rick and Morty. That was coming out. And that's something my roommate and I like to watch together. Just silly fun. I love that show Atlanta with Lakeith Stan. I think the fourth season is
Uh,
coming out soon. I'm waiting for that. Um, I watched BoJack Horseman. It took me a while to get. It sounds like I just watched animated comedies, but that's just kind of been the vibe lately. And that's a show that has been but kind of unsettling to watch.
Mm.
Like it affects. I haven't watched a TV show that affected me in my real life as personally and as much as that show has. So that's been interesting.
That's awesome. Now,
What
did
about
you
you?
been
What are you watching? What should I be watching?
Well, lately I've been watching Dahmer on Netflix.
Oh yeah, I heard it
I
was
didn't
good.
finish that. Me and my wife been watching that, but we're watching like an episode here, an episode there.
Yeah, yeah. I hear you got to be in a specific mood for it, or else
Right,
you're like psychotic.
right.
You can't watch it at like 3 p.m. on a Tuesday.
No, no.
It's
And
got to be a specific.
then you see like the memes
Yeah.
and everything. People are watching this and they're eating and they're just pushing their food on the side because they
Yeah,
don't want to
yeah,
eat
yeah.
anymore.
Of course. Yeah, it makes a lot of
Uh,
sense.
now,
I even thinking about it.
now the question is, did you binge Manifest before you joined the cast?
Yes. Oh my God. I as soon as because I had not seen the show until I got cast. Just for whatever reason, my mom was a huge fan. I
Mm,
hadn't had the time, and I watched all of it because I knew I was taking over this role. I can't tell. Every time Jack Messina came on the screen, my eyes were glued. I was taking notes. I was like
yeah.
paying attention. I'm trying to mimic it. It is steal as much as I can so we can make that feel like a diegetic, like seamless transition.
Mm. Now we mentioned play Cal. How did you so you said you wrote and you took notes and everything, but like what drew you to the role?
It's I my favorite thing about the character is that it is such a challenge to play someone who wants to help so badly,
Mm,
but like doesn't quite know how to piece all the pieces together and accomplish that goal. Like that has more information and is like in tune in some way that people don't quite and he himself doesn't understand and can't figure out how to express that and manifest that into action. There's so much obvious inner conflict and how that comes out in between his like like familial relations is really interesting. I find him an enigma, and I love a character that is not like so easily deciphered. You know what I'm saying? It gives me more
all
to
right.
do.
Plus, you're older. Well, body
Hmm.
wise, you're older, but you still have
Hmm.
the brain of a 14-year-old. Is that what it is? 13,
Yeah, yeah, 14,
roughly around
15.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Somewhere. Yeah.
So how do you like even those emotions? Like how do you even like try to prepare to play something like that? Like those scenes.
It's tricky. I mean, I wonder what we're going for is that sort of like big energy where it's a kid in an adult's body. And so, especially in this first part that's about to come out, there's a lot of like family drama
Mm,
between the core Stone family and how, especially between Cal and his dad. And I think what we were going for, or a lot of the time, was how does like a child react to his father not recognizing him
right.
or recognizing himself in the mirror? It is. I think we all remember a time when we were like 15, and even now I'm about to turn 25. I don't like totally know who I am or always like recognize myself in the mirror. Like we're all trying to figure it out, especially when you're at that young age, and to be thrust like to just piece it all together with like a new body and all these questions. I can't imagine how overwhelming that would be. And so we're really trying to get into like the how this poor kid in his situation, he's
Yeah.
making the best of what a rough hand he has.
Mm.
And I think that's really beautiful.
You mentioned Ben Stone, he's played by Josh Dallas. Did he give you any
Mhm.
pointers or any tips for the character?
Oh my God, a ton. He helped me every step of the way. We would run lines and talk about the scene, and he even directed an episode. He directed episode 7 of the part that's about to come out, which is one of my favorites, mostly because Josh directed it, obviously for
Mm,
one, and then two, because Cal gets to go on this whole other adventure, like very different from anything he's ever done before, and it's just like exciting to get to play something new in the context of the show. But Josh was absolutely fantastic. Always, I mean, he is an actor. He is ready to talk the craft. He wants to talk about art. He wants to talk about the scene. That he was super helpful. Yeah.
Now, how do you describe the relationship now between this version of Cal and his character?
But between Ben and Cal,
Yeah,
the characters,
yeah,
yeah. So it is fraught at the beginning. I think there's a lot of like unassignable blame and guilt associated with everything that happened at the end of season 3 with Grace dying and him having disappeared and come back in this other body and not not knowing how that happened, right? When you can't explain it, you immediately seem kind of guilty or like you are hiding something. So that causes like a big a rift, and he's more concerned with his missing daughter than he is in repairing that bridge with his son. And all, I mean, you see over the course of the first 3 seasons how close this father and son are. They have spent, especially because of his sickness, so much time together, and they mean so much to each other, and that they're two very different characters than when we leave them in season 3 and when we find them in season 4, because of that.
Now, what about Cal with his siblings, twin sister?
It is also tense. I mean, when again with that unassignable blame and just like that, that emotional hurt and all these questions about what's going on and who can we trust. But I think with Olive, and we see this over the course of season 4, the twins being the same age again, brings them closer, but their dynamic does not change. Olive is always the big sister. She knows what's best, and she is someone that Cal turns to constantly in times of need for advice and to be calmed down and for anything really.
What do you love about Cal?
His tenacity. I think I am. I don't know if I'd call myself lazy, but I'm prone to maybe a Sunday on a Tuesday. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, we just like maybe don't check that email today. That's a tomorrow problem. This kid is on his grind. Let me tell you, he has a mission and he is ready to accomplish it. And that level of drive and passion, and it all comes from a place of love for the people that he cares about, right? And these are obviously life and death situations. And he is ready to step up in a way that I hope I would be as a person, put in that same situation.
Now, the new season and the final season is split up into 2 parts, correct?
Yes. So it's a 20 episode long season, but the first 10 are coming out November 4th, second 10 sometime next year.
So now what are you hoping for when the fans return to watch this? What are you hoping they get out of this last season?
I hope get out of the last season some sense of celebration. I think this first part is an ode to like the fans and the show, and this whole season is like we were so happy to get to come back, and is really thanks to all the people who watch and support the show, that we got to do so and finish this story. And so both of these, like in my mind, little mini seasons, because we had a hiatus between shooting them and everything, they're like a love letter to the fans and to the story up until this point. This first part, we sort of we reintroduce these characters as they are post the epic events of season 3, and how they changed, and get you all caught up. And then the second part is when things pop off, we get into story. So it is I hope that people walk away with a sense of like closeness and celebration of like these characters and the story, and they have learned a little bit more about them and as people and how they relate to each other and all sorts of stuff like that.
You mentioned the fans and everything. I love how like some of these shows, like like this show was canceled, and then the fans signed petitions. All you saw on Twitter was like save manifest Netflix.
Yeah,
It's like that's gotta make a lot of people feel good about like there's people that are just they brought the show back to life.
I hope they feel good. I
Yeah.
mean, we feel good and express like an immense amount of gratitude and love. I mean, I when we got canceled was shortly after I had just done my only scene on the show.
Yeah.
I didn't even really know what I was missing. I mean, I came in and it was great. Everybody was lovely, but it was my that scene at the end of season 3 that I'm in was the last scene they shot of season 3. Period. They
Mm.
wrapped the season after that, and so people are like, and it was the last scene of the day. People are like popping champagne in the background while I'm like crying over my dead mother. It was
Yeah.
a wild time. Uh, but then I left, with a good taste in my mouth, but
Mhm.
knowing this the show might get canceled, and then it did, and I was like, okay, that was another job, and then it came back, and I got to spend more time with all these people and really get to know them and work on this project, and it has been an absolute like a year of my life that I will never ever ever forget,
Mhm.
and that is all thanks to them. I don't know how to sort of express that gratitude and thanks
Right.
for like changing. Like it really had an effect on my life in a huge way.
Mm.
That is the energy I hope people are feeling like they accomplished when the show comes out.
That's so November 4th, the last season. Now what's next for you, Ty? Any other projects you're allowed to tell us about?
I am just getting back into it. I
Mm.
just did a little audition self tape right behind. If I could turn the computer around, I'd show you the setup. It is, but I haven't been auditioning basically this whole time
That's
since
awesome.
I've started. So we'll see. I'll let you
All
know.
right. All right. Perfect. And how can the manifest fans find you on social media, keep up with you?
It is my on Instagram. It's at underscore my name Ty Doran, another underscore. Like it's on a little stage. Thought that was
Mm.
kind of clever. It's not. And on Twitter, it's at Ty Doran 28.
Okay, Ty, this was great. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me. It was good talking to you.